How y'all doing? Pokemon Hedgehogs and Christian Plumbers, the Parapunk Game here, and yes, before you ask, I am using my mic. It's over here. I found a better place to put it, while still getting the same amount of audio that I normally do. Honestly, actually, let me just put it here in the middle of my setup in the first place, just to see, does it work the same? Testing, 1, 2. Yeah, it works about the same. Anyway, so yeah, Zelda month is over. I mean, I want to say yes and I want to say no because on the plus side, Zelda month was really fun to do. Every week I'd make a new video. On the other hand, though, Zelda month, you know, I had other ideas of stuff that I wanted to do, and I couldn't do it because it was Zelda month, and you know, it was only Zelda videos. So Zelda month is over. It's March 4th on the day I'm recording this, so that means that the Switch is out. The Nintendo Switch is out to the public and available for purchase to anybody who wants to purchase it. So if you want, go ahead. I mean, they're probably already sold out. I know they were sold out in Australia, and they were sold out in GameStop, and they only had like 15 actual consoles in the store that, you know, they reserved for walk-in purchases. But yeah, no, there's not gonna be, there weren't many Switches available, is basically what I'm trying to say. But you know, it's the Switch, new console is out. I mean, I thought I would tell you about it, and yeah, let's talk about the Switch. So the Switch. Now, I don't have the Switch, but if you don't already know what the Switch is, it's the new console from Nintendo. That it's their unique little bubble that they're in, and this time I think they have created an idea that could appeal to a wider audience. Like their appeal with the Nintendo Switch is that a regular gamer, any gamer, will tell you that the most frustrating thing is, even the adult gamers, is stopping, you know, playing games and then going to work and doing other things like that. That's like the most annoying thing for a gamer, and I totally understand. You know, as a gamer myself, even though I'm a kid, like when my parents tell me to come up, or you know, they're gonna turn off the internet or something, or come up and do some like chores, or they're going somewhere and I still want to play games, but I also want to go with them to like Costco or something, because you know, Costco, free samples, man. But point being, like, it's really annoying, especially when you're mid-game, to have to pause the game, save the game, turn off the console, and get out, and then come back, and then you can start actually, you know, doing more stuff with the game. The Switch's main appeal is that you don't have to do any of that. Instead, you just pull out this little tab, take out the little Joy-Con controller thingies, strap them to the side of the console, and pop out the main console from the dock, and bam, you can play the same exact game you were playing on the TV. You can play it on the go with you. You can take the little tablet and play it on the go. So that is the main appeal of the Nintendo Switch, and I can see how that is a really good appeal. Like, most gamers will tell you that that is a giant pet peeve, is that they have a life outside of gaming that they need to take care of. They have to earn money, they have to go other places. Even for kids like me, they have to do chores, they have to do homework, etc., etc. So it does get really annoying, and then it is nice to be able to take it on the go with you. And that's kind of what the Nvidia Shield does to a certain extent, less you know, prominently than the Nintendo Switch, but that's kind of like what the Nvidia Shield does, is you can, you know, play on your laptop, and then you can hook it up to a TV and stuff. And, you know, to a certain extent, that's also what the Xbox app on Windows 10 computers sort of does, is you can play games on your Xbox, and also this is kind of like the Xbox Play Anywhere thing. You can play games on your Xbox, and then, let's say your parents call you up and you have to go to bed. Well, I'm not going to bed at, like, you know, 8 o'clock, you know, I'm still gonna play some games, so I can just take my Xbox controller with me upstairs, plug it into my laptop, and, you know, go on and go to the Xbox app, sign in, etc., etc., and I can just start streaming my Xbox One to my computer and just play from the comfort of my bed. I could do that. And yeah, so it's, you know, the people have tried to create that same feeling, but Nintendo, like right now, is just killing it. Like, they definitely knew exactly what they were doing, and yeah. So this is honestly, this whole video is just gonna be me talking about the Switch. So let's talk about some of the things about the Switch. Switch versus Wii U. Which one's better? Honestly, I would say the Switch. Wii U, I can understand why some people might still want to go for the Wii U. A, it's cheaper, you know, it still has a decent amount of games. Problem being, there's not many third-party games out there, and the first-party games on the Wii U are somewhat limited as to, you know, really, really good replayable titles that haven't aged. Like Splatoon, that is a really good game that, you know, I could still play. Like, I've actually never played Splatoon, but I understand, like, it came out in 2014 or something, and it's still, like, I've still seen people play it today, so it's a really, you know, it's apparently, like, a really fun game that's never really died. Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Will never die. It's going to go on even after Nintendo probably fails and dies in the console market. If that ever happens, Smash Bros. Will still go on as, like, a third-party game series. Smash Bros. Is like the quintessential Nintendo game. So, Smash Bros. That'll never die. Mario Maker. I've seen people that still play Mario Maker. Granted, you know, there's not as many people that play Mario Maker anymore. So, you see what I'm saying? There's only a couple of games like Mario Maker, Smash Bros., and Splatoon that people are still playing on the Wii U constantly, you know. So, is the Switch better than the Wii U? Yes, definitely. Graphically, power-wise, it's easier to program for, I'm hearing. The dev kits are apparently cheaper. So it's really easy to make games, apparently, and they're using the NVIDIA Tegra X1 chip as their GPU. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what they're using as their GPU. And that's what's happening. Granted, the X1 means Maxwell architecture, and that's, you know, a gen before. They should have used Pascal, but, you know, I get it. It's a small tablet thing. You can't really shove all that much power into that small of a frame of a device. So I get it. You know, that's okay. But yeah, the Switch, definitely get the Switch if you're going to go for a Nintendo console, because not only is the Switch, like, better than the Wii U as far as technological performance goes, but it's also more, it's also what the Wii U gamepad wishes it could be. Like, that was the main problem with the Wii U gamepad when people got it. They thought they could take it anywhere, and you can't. It can only go a certain distance from the console itself before the gamepad disconnects. Whereas the Switch, you're actually taking the entire console with you, so it never disconnects. So, yeah, that's it. Let's talk about some of the issues that people have been facing with the Switch. And I'm not going to lie to you, there are some issues that the Switch has that need to be fixed. For one, the left Joy-Con, you already know where this is going. The left Joy-Con, the Joy-Con, if you don't know, are two, like, Wii remote type controllers, except way smaller. They have an analog stick, 4 buttons, 2 trigger buttons, 2 sideways buttons that you can use. So, yeah, there's 2 of them, and they basically make up one big controller if you use them together. Now, the reason that there's 2 buttons on the side is you can take one half of it and hand it to another person and hold it horizontally and play like this, like a regular controller. So there's 2 buttons on the side. So, you know, there's a lot of things you can do with the Joy-Con, but the left Joy-Con is actually desyncing. Now, people are saying that it's just an issue with the review copies. There are only a certain amount of Switches that actually do that in real life. So, you know, whatever it is you want to believe, the left Joy-Con does have a problem. Don't know what it is, but yeah. Let's talk about battery life. The Joy-Cons have 20 hours of battery life each. And there are 2 ways to charge them. One way is you excuse me. One way is you get the charging grip, which is a different grip for the Nintendo Switch, or for the Joy-Con. Basically, you snap them in and you plug in the charging grip into the Switch dock, and it has a USB port, and it'll get power from there, and you can slide the Joy-Con in and they'll be charged as you're using them, or you can just leave them there and they'll be charged. Or B, and this is, if I actually get a Switch, I'm not even going to get the charging grip, because B, you can just slide the things onto the Switch, and when you plug the Switch into the dock, even if the Switch is off, the Switch is still charging, and the when the Joy-Con are on the side of the Switch and it's charging, the Joy-Con also get power, so you'll also be able to charge the Joy-Con. So if you're going to get a Switch, I wouldn't even bother investing in the charging grip. If you want to use the Joy-Con grip, just use the Joy-Con grip that comes with your Switch in the box. Yeah. Then there's the Pro Controller, and everybody is saying it is one of the most comfortable controllers they have ever held. I personally have not been able to hold the Pro Controller, so I can't speak for any of them, but according to most people, the Pro Controller is one of the most comfortable controllers. So yeah. Amiibo are supported by the Switch. You just tap them. If you're using the Joy-Con, tap them on the right Joy-Con stick, and they'll scan in. If you're using the Pro Controller, it's at the Nintendo Switch logo. Right under the Nintendo Switch logo is the NFC touch point. You can just tap them on there. From what I've seen, especially using the Joy-Con, the Amiibo are a little finicky to, tap in. But then again, when I saw it, it was in Zelda Breath of the Wild, and you have to hold down a button. From what I understand, you have to hold down a button and tap the Amiibo with your other hand, and that could be a real pain, especially if that button is on the right Joy-Con and you need to tap it on there. Furthermore, it's underneath the stick, so there is a little higher length than just right inside of the gamepad, right underneath. So yeah, whatever. But the Joy-Con do have a lot of technology packed into them. For that matter, they have 4 buttons each, an analog stick each, 2 triggers each, 2 side buttons each. The left one has a capture button. They both have accelerometer and gyroscope for motion controls. The right one has the NFC touchpoint for Amiibo. It has an IR motion camera, and they both have HD rumble. So they've packed a lot of features in a controller that small. And, kudos to that. That is a pretty big accomplishment, packing that much technology into that small of a device. Now, I think that could also be part of the issue why the left Joy-Con is desyncing, is all of that technology that's in it is interfering with the Bluetooth, and B, it could also be that to have all of that technology inside the Joy-Cons yet still have like a 20-hour battery life, they had to sacrifice some of the Bluetooth signal strength, and that's why their left Joy-Con is having a desync issue. But you never know until Nintendo checks and fixes that, whatever it is. That's just gonna be there. Whatever. There's nothing you can do about it. That is a problem. Now, another issue that people seem to have is with the game cases itself, and before we get to the game cases, let's talk about the Switch's internal storage, because downloadable content, DLC and downloadable games off of like the eShop, the store, whatever it is, downloading games is basically the way of the future as far as gaming goes. GameStop stock itself dropped like $3. Not 3, like $10 or whatever it was. It dropped after like that Xbox Game Pass was announced for like $10 a month. You get 100 Xbox games, not for free, obviously. It's $10, but yeah, you get a certain amount of you get like 100 games for $10 a month. So it is a nice thing, and for Xbox Live Gold owners, you get that included. So it is a nice little bonus, all of that. And you can download those games. Unlike that PlayStation Now, I think it's called, where in PlayStation Now you have to be connected to the internet, or if you have a really weak connection, if you don't have internet, if you have a really weak connection, whatever, you can download those games to your Xbox and play them on your Xbox. So yeah, so physical, like I said, physical game copies are the thing of the past. and Nintendo didn't really realize that with the Switch because there's only 32 gigs of internal storage, and just like your phone, part of that 32 gigs is being used up just by the OS and also by the Day 1 update. So you're going to not have as much storage on board for downloading games. You will have a decent amount, but you know it's not going to be enough. And I think it's Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 are 32 gig. The game itself is 32 gigs, and the Nintendo Switch doesn't even have that much in it when you buy it because OS, like I said. So you're definitely going to need to be expanding the storage. Let's talk about that. Expandable storage. Underneath the kickstand on the Nintendo Switch is a micro SD card slot, so it supports, and this is where they really did hit it. They knew, I guess when they created the Switch, they were like, oh, you know, 32 gigabytes should be enough, and later they're like, dude, digital content is like all the rage with the kids these days. I got it, let's make it so that we have the max amount of expandable storage possible. So the micro SD card supports 2 terabyte micro SD cards, and 2 terabyte micro SD cards don't even exist yet, so they have future-proofed it with that to a certain extent. But I think it is a little stupid that they didn't include at least like 500 gigabytes. I understand in that small of a device you can't really have that much, but I mean even like an iPhone 7 has 64 gigabytes, so I mean at least like a 64 gigabyte internal memory would have been nice. So yeah. That's my little beef with that, but you know, the SD card slot is there, so it's not too bad. Whatever, I can get used to that. You know, it's not that big of a deal. It's not a giant deal breaker, so we're good. The other thing being, what was I talking about? Right, the game cards. Now, the game cards are tiny. They're really tiny, and people are really arguing as to why the cases for the game cards are so big. And you know, when I first saw the game cards, I thought, yeah, no, that is pretty stupid, because the game cards are thinner and shorter. Well, I think there might be a little longer, but they're thinner for sure than even like the 3DS cards. Even the DS game cards are thicker than the Switch cards, game cards. So I was a little confused as to why the cases are so big. But after listening to a couple of people and also looking at the spine of the case itself, I can think of a couple of reasons why they did that. Number one is because most people, to keep their games safe, are probably going to put them back in the case, and because they're so tiny, they're probably going to put them back in the case, and when they put them back in the case, then on their game shelf, they can, you know, easily identify, alright, that's the Switch case, take that out, instead of like some tiny microscopic case for Switch game cards. And the other thing being, they're tall, like you know, weirdly tall. And at first that really confused me, like why are the game cases so tall? But think about it, that's a marketing thing. It's not because of the game card, it's a marketing thing. Because 3DS cases are shorter, and 3DS games cost $40 instead of the retail $60. So people are going to be questioning, you know, if it was like a shorter case, like 3DS case, it kind of gives the impression that it's not as good as the PS4 or Xbox One games. So if it's the same size, it's supposed to be kind of a thing like, hey, this is a console game, guys. We're still making this a console. This is still a console. So yeah, that is probably why it's that tall, and I can totally understand why they did that. So I don't really have that much beef with the case thing. So that's the Nintendo Switch. Now, here is my main beef with the Switch, and that is the amount of launch games. The amount of launch games is abysmal. Indie titles, I mean, I'm not really counting indie titles all that much, and downloadable titles, sure. I mean, there's like Shovel Knight, there's Super Bomberman R, there's Fast RMX, so that's like a F-Zero kind of racing thing. There's Zelda Breath of the Wild, that's like the only game that I think is actually worth that $60. There's Just Dance 2017, 1-2 Switch. There's only like 10 or so games at launch, and you know, with third party, yeah, it's a pretty decent, it's a pretty decent launch thing, launch library, until you realize that a lot of those games aren't super big AAA titles that you're going to have hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of fun with. So yeah, it's a thing you might want to, you might want to consider it when buying the Switch. Yeah, that's about it. We covered games, we covered hardware, we covered basically everything about the Switch. So, yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this video. If you guys liked this video, please do leave a like down below. Comment below how hyped you are for the Switch. Did you pick up a Switch at launch? Do you plan on picking up a Switch launch year? Do you ever plan on picking up a Switch? And if not, why not? Yeah, subscribe for alerts when new videos come out, including videos like this where I stand in front of, sit in front of the camera and talk to you guys about stuff, all things gaming. And, this month, nothing special, but when I talk to you guys, all things gaming. And also, all kinds of gaming videos, including actual gameplay and other stuff as well. And share with your friends to know about YouTubers such as myself. And, here's the thing, if you want to subscribe, if you do subscribe, please hit the bell to actually get notifications when I post a new video. So guys, in short, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am the Proud Monkey Gamer. My lights are out.